Y'all wanted a part 2, so sadly, I'll have to deliver. If y'all haven't seen the first part where we covered volume 1, then I highly recommend you watch that first. But to summarize, Grimace is a survival horror series about a family moving into a new apartment complex with a strange rule. You must always smile in front of the owner. The premise is interesting, with the family trying to find a way to escape a mysterious villain. However, this series manages to ruin a great plot with barely any character development and some unnecessary sexual violence. So today, we're going to be covering volume 2 and see if the sexual violence dies down, or if for some reason it gets even worse.
But if you guys want to see more anime content like this one, then why not go down and hit that subscribe button.
Also, we have a Discord server, so go ahead and join our community, but without further ado, let's get on with the video. The Shirotani family receives an unexpected visit from Yasuko, who instructs Jun and Koji to prepare their children for a regular meeting. Jun questions Yasuko about their friendship, but Yasuko dismisses her, asking why Jun never called if they were truly friends. Jun then asks about the courtiers and how to become one, but Yasuko only replies that time is up and tells them to gather up the children. At the monthly meeting, the family is confused about why their kids have to attend. The owner arrives and everyone greets him with a forced smile. He announces a special project to welcome the Shirotani family. Intrigued by how the parents would protect their sons, he decided to test this. He prepares a showdown between Jun and Hirata's mother, Kirie. The person to win 2 games in a row will be the winner, with the loser having to give up their son's life. The Iritas will participate later, but for now, it's the Shirotani's turn. The first game is called Family Bashing. One family member has 10 seconds to hit one another. If time runs out and they smack no one, then the owner will control them and strike Yuto. The goal is to protect Yuto while keeping up a smile. Jun refuses to participate at first, but the owner says that it's fine, cause he'll just do the work himself, forcing Yuto and Koji to sit down. Jun reluctantly picks up a Roman whip with sharp rocks attached. She hesitates, but when time runs out, she strikes Yuto, leaving nasty cuts on his face, yet still managing a smile. The owner then calls out on Mana to participate, despite Jun's protest. Mana picks up the whip, striking Koji, but the timer doesn't stop. The family continues to hit each other until the owner ends the game, promising the family another challenge soon. Koji asks about the Iratas' family result, and the owner reveals that he didn't have to hit their son even once. A woman in the crowd offers to tend to their wounds, though she's not allowed in a hospital. 6 days later, the Hirata and Shirotani family are visited by the owner and an older man preparing for the next game. The owner and the representative introduce the second game, questioning what it means to love one's child and explaining that they will do anything for their child, even handling their waste. The second game is an eating contest featuring a special curry and juice with a foul odor. The first to finish their meal wins, with a reminder to keep on smiling. The mothers chow down on the curry, but Hirata's mother throws up. Her husband yells, urging her to continue on for their son, Osamu. With pressure from her family, she finishes in 5 minutes and 44 seconds. The husband becomes anxious, contemplating another game if they lose. The next day, the owner prepares the Hirata family for the third game, entering a room with 2 chairs for Family Bashing Part 2. This cycle of games continue on daily for a month. Kirire, exhausted and battered, is thanked by Osamu for fighting for him. She questions what she gains in return for being his mother. Osamu then cries, expressing his love and desire to live. Kirire, feeling depressed, apologizes and then leaves the room. The following day, Osamu dozes off in class, sitting on an open window ledge. A classmate warns him of the danger, but as Osamu turns, he panics and falls, leaving his classmates to witness the horrific scene. In the first half of Volume 2, I can already tell that the mangaka decided to just lock in because it has really changed my perspective on Grimace. In the first part, I complained about the amount of unnecessary sexual violence that the series had. A lot of you in the comments said it had similarities to The Third Parent, which is about a supernatural being called Tommy Taffy. going to family homes and staying with them for 5 years to help take care of their kids, while torturing them if it doesn't go its way. It's a great story, but it does have the same issue as Grimace with all of this sexual violence. Thankfully, we haven't seen any in these first couple of chapters, and spoiler alert, we never do in this volume, so that's already extra brownie points. The story so far has shifted into a Saw-like story where the two mothers now have to go head to head in games to save their child. But I'm confused, because if the purpose of the games is to see which mother cares more about their child, then why are the rest of the family a part of the first game? It would make a lot more sense if it was just Jun and Kirie doing the whipping instead of the other way around. It's also weird that we only see 2 games. Why couldn't they just do other games and then drag this out a little bit more instead of just repeating the same 2 games over and over? I will say though, the first 2 games were very uncomfortable to sit through, which is what you want in a story like this. The art design definitely helps out the creepy vibe of the series. The designs of the characters are so unsettling, and when the families get bruised up, the art makes the whole experience feel even more painful. Another complaint that I had in the last part was the lack of character development for the family, which isn't really fixed here. This part of the volume we get more of a focus on the Hirata family, which, to be honest, I could care less about. However, seeing her mentally break down and the conversation that she had with Osamu is really heartbreaking. It's really sad to see, and that whole thing perfectly led up to the final scene of Osamu falling off the window. I have many theories on what actually happened. Like, did Osamu had enough of seeing her mother get tortured? Did he jump because his mother doesn't love him anymore? Or was it not a Jesus? Did Kitty lose the game to Jun and now the owner has taken his life? That's honestly the option that I'm leaning towards, just because we saw Osamu dozing off and end up on the window just like how Koji in the first volume did. Not only that, when he turned around, he was visibly afraid, and that was what caused him to fall to his death. We'll have to see in the next half, but so far this volume has really taken me by surprise at how good this is. Let's just hope it can keep the momentum going. The husband contacts the owner about Osamu, only to be met with laughter. "Didn't your wife tell you?" the owner sneers. Confused and angry, the husband confronts Kirie, who is even more battered than before, knocking her dinner out of her hand. He demands to know why she surrendered. Kirie explains how she always wanted to be just like her mother, who supported her through school and praised her accomplishments. Her mother was proud of her academic and musical achievements, but always wondered when she would marry and have kids. Wanting to fulfill her mother's expectations, Kirie got married and had a child, but found herself unhappy. When Osamu was born, she forced herself to show him love and attention, imitating her mother's behavior. Eventually, she realized it was better to give up and advised her husband to do the same. Meanwhile, Jun is editing a video when the owner arrives to congratulate her on winning the showdown due to Osamu's death. Jun is confused, as they only played 2 games. Since the second game was just a regular curry eating contest, what could have happened to the Irita family after the second game? The owner explains the game's criteria, determining if someone is a respectable parent. Children should always respect their parents. In the first game, Jun hesitates to hit her husband, showing that she cares about her family. In the contrast, the Hirata family were relentless in their beatings, indicating their dysfunction. The Shirotani family won from the first game because of the Hiratas' fractured relationship. Kirie had previously criticized a couple for getting married but not wanting children. The owner was furious when she acted like a model parent for Osamu, knowing that she was faking it. Jun asked what would have happened if they had lost both the games, but the owner was only interested in exposing Kirie as the failure of a parent that she is. He asked if the Shirotani family neglects their children, and if not, then why aren't there pictures of their kids in their house? Jun genuinely smiles, laughing as she explains that they keep photos of their kids on their phones. Both she and the owner share a laugh, and he congratulates her again. The owner then calls Aoi, thanking him for his hard work, but questioning why the Shirotani family lacks family photos at home. He realizes Yuto is crucial to Jun, but notes that they didn't hesitate to hit Mana during the family bashing. Mana is in her rebellious phase, but it seems more severe than anticipated. Koji is in his car, reeling from Osamu's death, when a man knocks on his window. It's someone familiar from the meetings. He hands Koji a phone displaying a message. "My name is Aikawa, and I live in room 104. Would you like to meet me after work? Actually, I understand. The secret of the owners is power." They meet at a restaurant where Aikawa introduces himself, explaining that he moved in with his wife and daughter a month ago and has observed the owner. He believes that the owner's power is hypnosis. Koji is skeptical, but Ikawa elaborates. He describes post-hypnotic suggestion, where people act a certain way after waking up without remembering the suggestion. The trigger is when the owner shakes hands or taps on somebody's shoulder. But now they have to determine what triggers the death penalty. Since they can work and attend school, it doesn't count as breaking any escape rules. So, Ikawa suggests that Koji takes a day off and pretends to go to work, and instead go for a long drive as an experiment. If they can remove each other's families from the apartment complex, then there might be a chance to escape. As they prepare to leave, Koji then asks him if he's afraid of leaving. Aikawa responds, "Afraid? It's the children who are the most scared. Why should innocent children have to suffer in a place like this?" They wave goodbye, giving Koji time to reflect. The final scene shows the owner torturing Yasuko and her family, all with a smile. The first half of the volume was great, and I think this half is even better. It manages to fix all of the problems that I had in the first volume. To start off, there's no sexual violence, so yippee for that one. Second, we're finally seeing the family trying to escape, or at least try to attempt an escape route, which leads to one of the best reveals of the whole series, the owner's real power being hypnosis. I'm not mad at the hypnosis thing at all. It makes a lot of sense, plus it makes the series a little bit more realistic than just like a supernatural alien torturing everybody. Third, they managed to give character development to not just one side character, but to both the parents and Mana. We found out that Kire actually gave up in the games, which is the reason why her son died. We get a backstory which is pretty sad, and I know a couple of people that could relate to this, except exaggerated of course. But the craziest development is with the parents and Mana. The plot twists of the games were so unexpected but was hinted at if you take a little bit closer look at the panels. But the biggest plot twist is the reveal of the parents not hesitating when hitting Mana in the family bashing. I asked why the rest of the family were involved in that game, and the owner's explanation was basically just to test both families. And to be honest, it's a pretty perfect excuse. We can assume that Mana did something so heinous that it caused the family to have to move into the complex, which basically started this whole series. Not only that, we get scenes with Koji being cowardly and June opening up to the owner without faking a smile. Maybe in the future we might see her become a courtier, or maybe even one of her personal assistants. It definitely leads to some interesting predictions heading into the next and final volume. And last but not least, the amount of torture scenes were becoming a little bit too much at this point. Thankfully, not only are the torture scenes a part of a bigger situation, but the games themselves have a purpose to the story and it moves the narrative forward. The owner has said multiple times that the reason he does the things that he does is to better the community, make the neighbors unite, and smile. Obviously, not all of his actions reflect this. He's still a maniacal, childish brat who wants to have fun, but get things his way. So it makes sense why he wants to expose the family for being horrible parents, which probably has a lot to do with his own family as well. We don't need to know his whole backstory to like this series, nor do we need to know the details of his powers either. It just plays really well into the mystery and scariness of the story, but what we do need to know is if this series can stay this good. Grimace was a wasted potential series. Emphasis on was though. The series managed to do a whole 180-degree turn and actually get me excited to continue reading. The games, though brutal, serve a narrative purpose, pushing the story forward while maintaining a tense, unsettling atmosphere. The owner remains shrouded in mystery, adding to the horror's allure and leaving us curious about his true intentions. By moving away from unnecessary sexual violence and instead introducing interesting elements like morality and familial bonds, the story has regained its momentum. The character development of the parents, Mana, and even Kire adds depth, making their struggles more relatable and emotionally resonant. This volume effectively uses torture scenes to propel the plot and explore dark motives behind the owner's actions, adding complexity to his character without losing all of that mystery and suspense that has defined this series. As we approach the final volume of the series, many questions pop into our heads like, can Grimace maintain its momentum? Can it deliver a satisfying conclusion? But the biggest question in my mind is, what made this series get axed in the first place? And are we going to find out leading into the third volume? We'll discuss this topic in the third and final installment of this video series, but with what we got in this volume, I can say no matter what, I'm excited to see what Grimace has in store. Well, thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to join the Discord server so you can be a part of our community. And if you're a fan of horror anime and manga, then why not hit that subscribe button? But I'll be seeing you guys in the next video.